What I did here, and certainly this doesn't have everything we could talk about, but one of the things that we've established in the capability is all three solutions look like they have the same functions. And there are differences, though. And so as we get into some of that, but at the end of the day, ERP, finance, supply chain, manufacturing, some version of project, some version of human capital in there. But as we look at that, some of the points that I've included here, the minimum users. And the reason I say that for GP is 3 is, again, if you're buying it on-prem, meaning the traditional, I'm going to buy this license and pay software assurance, there's a starter pack that's 3 users. If you're going subscription, which means you're going into a private hosted data center like the one we run, 3 users is the minimum. There's just, again, these are single tenant hosted installations where there's 3 VMs. There's a RDS, a SQL box, and Active Directory, so there's just a little bit of overhead. As you move on the GP side, subscription, as you move past 3 users, the price comes down. You said, hey, we need 20 users. The price is much lower with 20 than it is with 3. Okay, so there's absolutely a waterfall on the GP subscription. So don't let it shock you. Like I said, the target size is 10 plus, but we certainly do a lot of 3-user deals. So, but to that point, the starter pack, $5,000, 3 users, you get all that core functionality. And then it's $3,000 per user in addition to that. So a lot of times I'm doing comparisons between, hey, what's the SaaS model? What's the capital model? One, I start paying monthly. Other one, I got to pay $100,000 and then SA every year. Typically, implementation budgets are identical on GP, whether you're on-prem or SaaS. And again, you own the license. You can have it hosted. You can put it in Azure. You can put it in AWS. Who cares? We have a lot of people that bring their license to us and say, can you host our license? We do that, and we maintain it. Working across, again, you see the Business Central, the NAV product. You only need 1 user. Multi-tenant. That's attractive. I love that product, and I think there's going to be a lot of traction on that product. The multi-tenant is nice. Again, we talk about maintenance. We'll talk about the maintenance slide, but multi-tenant's nice. So again, price point, $1,700, pretty simple, great value. And again, I can start very small, and I can get very large with that application, as you see. Again, we talked about the enterprise app, 20-user enterprise license minimum. There is an on-prem model, $7,000 for a server, $4,000 per named user. So GP is concurrent, AX is named. Makes a big difference, meaning I can have GP and put it on my platform and buy 20 users and have 50 people getting in and out. As long as I cover them with a SQL license, 20, that's concurrent. So I have to match SQL is named, but GP is concurrent. Enterprise, 50 users, 50 licenses. So again, right away, GP, I'm at 60 grand. Over here, I'm at 200. So big disparity trying to get 50 people access between the applications. We talk about implementation, and I know you asked that question, where do we end up? And these are general ballparks, but if we think about GP, and again, this assumption would be financial and supply chain. As we go more scope, we add more implementation cost. So the numbers can shrink, they can grow. Certainly assumptions is no customizations, no integrations, because you want to see the numbers explode. So, but in the GP based on experience, 240 is about right. It's a 3 to 4 month implementation shoot. If you're a supply chain, most people take 4 to 6 months because they want the time to do the validation and really let the users get comfortable. And again, what happens otherwise? Customer service experience if you go live too early. That's true in any platform. The Business Central, 480 to 1,000 plus. And you might say, yeah, does it take 480 again? I said, supply chain. If we got manufacturing in there, the 480 can go north of that real quick. NAV, again, even on GP, I've got a 1,500-hour GP project I'm doing right now for a $500 million company. Doesn't sound that bad. We compared it to enterprise where I'm at 1,000 to 3,000 hours. GP, again, let's call it a $400,000 project to do this deal for the guy. The AX version was $1 million. Wow, $1 million to 400. Why so much difference? Over on the right side here, we have more complexity. Again, if we're doing apples to apples scope, there's just more complexity in that application. If GP has 10 processes that I can implement, AX has 100 in the configuration. So if you think about, well, GP has 20 switches I can throw. AX has, oh my gosh, there's 1,500 switches on this board. And so the complexity and configuration, just take that for what it is. It's not a bad thing, but as Bill indicated, it's the hero product. So again, we said NAV could be 480 to 1,000 plus. AX, 1,000 is being kind. If you told me, hey, I've got 20 users, that's 50 grand a year in subscription. So if we're going to give you a gut check, it's 50 grand in licensing minimum, and I'm going to be at least 1,000 hours and probably more like 2. So we're at $450,000 for pretty much a low point on that. 1,000 hours, what are they doing? One company, very simple. They may not need the solution if they're trying to make it such a small project. But in any context, scope drives, meaning, hey, I'm doing finance, I'm doing supply chain, I'm doing manufacturing, I'm doing project, I'm doing human capital. You light up everything, you're going to have more scope. And I think that as we get into those conversations, but traditionally, that's kind of what you're going to see in terms of the magnitudes of difference. Org size, GP, 3 to 100. If you told Microsoft, I got 100 users and I'm going to go on GP, they'd say, bink. Before beginning of April, when BC wasn't there, they're sending you to AX. Now they're like, well, let's be a little objective and see where the difference is. So again, we get over 100 users. You know, strategically, I'm the guy that's not going to want to put you on GP either with 100 users. I'm like, look, you do it, but I think that if your organization is that size and you're growing, let's make sure that we're positioned strategically with the right platform. And so between BC and AX, now the discussion is all about feature functionality and workloads and processes you need to support. I told you at the onset, I ran GP for 15 years. GP has project accounting. AX has project management and accounting. That's a big word. That's a big word. And again, we got to be careful because Microsoft still sticks to the word project management over there by GP, and I don't agree with them. But absolutely, BC and AX are both, you're going to see management. And again, as we get into the AX, why did I go after it? Work breakdown structures, resource bookings, GANTs, all right out of the system. You know, if you're trying to manage a project on GP, it does accounting, rock solid. It'll kill it on accounting. And I've got big professional services firms using that, and it worked well for us. But what you don't have is I got to pin a resource to a task, to a calendar, and I don't have all that integration. And what you saw in BC and AX, you said profuse integration. The BC integration to the Office stack, way beyond what I'll ever have in GP. Again, so size, AX, thousands of users. It's enterprise class. I could have 20 countries, people working in different languages. The BC supports the same type of thing. So again, both of those products are going to have a lot more scale than GP is, and they're going to have language. GP, they dropped it. I lost a deal for GP to NAV years ago because they dropped Portuguese. So GP has English, French Canadian, and maybe some Spanish. That's about it. NAV, as you said, 20, 30 languages, AX, 20, 30 languages. So again, they go a lot deeper because they were born in Europe. So target segment, small, mid-size, GP, small, mid-size, NAV, but NAV can creep into the enterprise. And maybe the enterprise word shouldn't be on GP. I said we had some billion-dollar companies. It's a financial hub. It's SQL Server. It can get huge. I can cluster that thing. You know, I got an $800 million company that's running 10,000 invoices a week into GP. There's augmentation, and it churns. He doesn't want to come over and spend $2-3 million and move to AX. $2-3 million, okay? So I'm not sugarcoating that. So, but for that org, the implementation would go crazy. But AX, absolutely, upper mid-market enterprise. Again, you get into that, people on QuickBooks that think they're going there. It's like, that's a big jump. And it's typically a shock factor in terms of cost. And people will say, well, you know, your competitors are coming in a lot less. Well, I don't typically compete with some of the competitors with the AX product because it is an SAP, Oracle, JD Edwards, Bond. I mean, I'm moving people downstream there. So quite frankly. Again, deployment options, GP, private cloud, single tenant, or on-prem. You can buy it, you can own it, you do anything you want with it. That's today. So a lot of people want to do that. Microsoft, they don't like GP sometimes because you don't have to move to the cloud. You can own it, SA it, payroll, it's all there. Again, it's still a wonderful app. It's very open architecture. It's SQL Server. Business Central, it's public cloud right now. That's great. It's a lot of security, high performance, high scalable, future on-prem. It's coming. Everybody wants some on-prem options. AX, public Azure cloud, single tenant. It is single tenant. Okay, so again, if you get into that, on-prem, there's going to be an on-prem option. I think we can license it on-prem today. They all support customizations. Architecture is different. GP, you customize it. Does it penalize you when you got to do an upgrade? Yeah, it's not as elegant. It's not designed the same. In a multi-tenant BC, wow, their architecture is profound because they can insert customizations and integrations in all these different layers per design, and it doesn't compromise that upgrade and that maintenance. AX is the same way. A lot of different layers as to how do we customize and where do we insert that where we don't compromise our maintenance and upgrade, okay? So as we talk about maintenance, GP, you own the maintenance. If you do SaaS, we include the maintenance as a SaaS. That's what you expect. SaaS is all the maintenance included. You own the application, you're paying for the maintenance. Major releases every 2 years. What's an upgrade? Is it 10, 15, 20,000, depends on what you've got. I've got a lot of people that are spending a lot of money on upgrades, and they do them every 4 or 5 years because they've highly personalized. BC, I don't know that there's a maintenance option there. Microsoft's updating that thing, and it's like Office 365. You're not paying for the revisions. Dynamics CRM Online, you're not paying for maintenance. It just happens. They notify you. So BC is going to be like that too. Everybody upgrades. They're all the same version. AX, your prod environment is maintained by Microsoft. And my footnote here is you will have maintenance on dev and test. We've got a deal going on right now. They're not even live, and Microsoft threw down an upgrade, and the updates to dev and test, $15,000, $20,000 worth of labor. And you're like, oh my gosh. It's like, how often is that going to happen? Not that often, but one of the reasons people are moving to cloud and multi-tenant is how do we get rid of that maintenance? How do we shrink our total cost of ownership? So I'm pointing these things out. There's certainly a lot more I could comment on those in terms of, where's my clicker? There we go. So this one, and this isn't the end all, and I inherited this from Bill where they kind of biased us. But as you think about left to right, and, in project management, you heard me say it. GP's project accounting. You need project management? Forget about GP. I don't want to have to throw a third-party app in there to get a better PM tool and a better customer-facing portal. AX, I set up a project. Boom, it just created a SharePoint site. I can invite my customers. We're collaborating through O365. That's all native stuff. Apps for employees, again, resource management, hard booking, soft booking, a lot of neat stuff there. But as we go through this list and you say, well, really, how do I tell which one I need? Size of your org, feature functionality. People look at GP and they're like, is that a value play? It is absolutely a value play. Where's the org going? We have those conversations all the time as to how would we pick one versus the other. I got manufacturing in all three. You tell me you're in intense process manufacturing, I throw GP out right away if you're a substantial organization. I had a group that coming in, about $600 million. I'm not even looking at GP for process. We're looking at AX. We'll probably look at BC as well, for those guys as well. But again, as we get into big process, large corporations that are enterprise, meaning they're domestic, international, we're not even considering GP as an option for that because it doesn't natively do process. So there's an example where we throw something out, is we're trying to narrow. Project management. I'm a professional services shop. I'm going to be biased towards something that's going to help me grow my business. I don't want to just do what we're doing today. I got to look beyond as I'm picking a solution because I think all of you know that when you change an ERP system, boy, it better be a 5 to 7 to 10 year plus fix. And my story about this one, it's Microsoft's Hero Project. I have a slide that says you'll never have to change systems again. Why? Because there's so much capability that you can grow your organization. If you're different tomorrow, that's okay. This thing localizes down to the plant. And that's another big consideration is GP. It configures at the system level, which means everything under that has got that same set of properties. This guy, I go down to the company, to the location, to the site. I personalized. I've got a manufacturing facility in Venezuela. The configuration is there. It's not here. So we can get much more granular in configuring to an enterprise environment. So again, that's an example of a feature that drives me into that. And it could be language. But again, all things being equal, much more robust for field service in BC and AX. GP has service call management, but it isn't field service, okay? I list third party because you have to go after more capability. You can augment GP, don't get me wrong. But again, as you're making decisions, we're looking, what's that standard core functionality? Everybody says, can I do this without bolting on? But again, don't get me wrong. You need credit cards? It's a bolt-on. You need EDI? It's a bolt-on in any of the solutions here. So again, some very high-level comparisons between these. There's still always that you need to engage with us to help refine. And as we get into this process, it's fit gap. And one of our offers is we want to do that up front. We want to come in and do that big block, and let's talk about the difficult part of your process. It may be billing. It may be revenue rec. It may be, what do you do? It may be a customer portal requirement. Hey, we need this type of, maybe it's integration. So again, there's a lot of different things where we go after the difficult part of the implementation or the workloads you're trying to manage and make sure that we fit those requirements, okay? To come in and say, oh, we're going to throw $500,000 in customization. You don't have to build a lot of stuff because there are so many businesses using this. There's people like you that have already implemented this and have gone through some of these exercises, so to speak. So anyway, that's really my recap at this point. Our goal is just that, is to help identify what should we be looking at, and if it's between BC and AX, BC looks compelling from a price standpoint. This only showed up April 1st. As an owner, I'm excited about having this in the portfolio. We're going to sell the hell out of it. Why? because the price point's low. It's multi-tenant. There's a lot of neat stuff, and it has a big feature set, okay? I don't see payroll today. Most people don't let that be an deciding factor about, oh, we got to have payroll to run it in-house. So, but again, our process, we want to help. We want to be in the conversation. We don't charge for that. We want to help block, tackle, fit gap, preliminary pricing. What's this really look like in a magnitude? If you're trying to say, okay, 20 users and a couple, what's it look like? Does it fit? Great. There's always that, more and more. And again, our presentations today, they're fast, they're thin, deeper dives. We do lots of proof of concept sessions with people where let's talk about a scenario that's more, oh, that looks like us. Even people give us data and we'll model it up and render it in our system and show you your workflow with your data in these environments. So those are all things that are on the table. Thank you for participating today. We're open for questions. Like I said, we're not running out of here. As Bill indicated, you can hang around. So anything's fair game. So thank you again. And any questions, please.